Welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Zone, where we look at the paranormal from many different angles, including ghost hunting, UFO, UAB. We will continue to call it UFO here. Witches, which we got a great, exciting show. We got a witch coming on from Texas next week. We can't wait. We've interviewed empaths, psychics. So this show is to broaden people's horizons in the paranormal. So today's guest, I'm lucky to have this great guy I've known for a little while now from Paranormal New England, Joe Rainone. Joe, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Tom.
No problem. And how long you been doing the paranormal for?
I started in 2010.
Oh, okay. Still a long time. That's 14 years. That's
yeah. So this was my 14th year.
Yeah. I've always said anything over 10 in the paranormal, you're ancient, because most teams don't last 10 years.
True.
So I mean that makes me and you ancient.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a long, that's a long, I mean, some marriages don't even last that long.
No. Some marriages only last an hour.
Yeah, that's true. Some of those Vegas ones.
Yeah, Ernest Borgnine's first wife lasted an hour. Just throw it out there. I mean, we throw everything out there on this show, so it doesn't matter. And you're originally from Saugus.
Originally. Yeah, I grew up in Saugus my whole life. Yep.
Yeah, that's a nice community. And I was telling you off the air, the school I'm talking about is a school that we investigated, and we're going back. We're in the process of negotiating with the school, Essex County is. And now I know you're from Saugus. Guess who I'll be calling to come with us? You.
Oh yeah, I'd love it. Well, I don't think I've ever ghost hunted or investigated in my own hometown. Not even a residential.
I got lucky with this one. This is a school in Saugus that was built near the old tobacco fields. As you know, during the Civil War, Saugus grew tobacco. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I know it's home of the ironworks.
Right.
I mean, that was yeah.
That's the big one. Everybody knows Saugus. But there's a school that's haunted, and actually we got a guy on video, and I wouldn't say I use ABC when I do anything, so I'm going to say it's a low B video, okay? You can hear the boots, you can kind of see the boots, and you can kind of see a gun of a Civil War soldier walking. You can tell it's Civil War. But other than that, it wasn't a perfect picture. But nothing's perfect.
Well, getting any type of video is definitely difficult, as we both know.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it is what it is. I can't forget the name. I forgot the name of the school. It's a daycare center now. It was built in the early 1900s. It's in a section of Saugus, and it's named after that section.
Listen, I mean, I'd love to hunt my, where I grew up. So
as soon as I know when we're going, it may be early next year at this point, but as soon as I know, I'll be reaching out to you, Joe, anyhow.
Excellent.
So back to you. You've been doing this over 14 years. So what are some of your favorite locations that you've done that you can legally talk about? I know private homes, none of us talk about, and even some public places don't want to really be known either. I've come across that. You have too. So what's your favorite place?
So are we talking local, or are we talking out of all the places I've been to?
Let's start local. I forgot, because you do a lot of things traveling too.
So I would go right out of the gate with the USS Salem.
Mm-hmm. So what happened on the Salem? Anything you can talk about over there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's and I know you and I have had this discussion in the past where, ghosts don't come out on command, right?
No. No, they
And
don't.
you can go to one place on Monday night, and it could be crazy activity, and you could go the following Tuesday and nothing, and you would swear you were in a different spot, right?
Correct.
Well, the USS Salem, I can honestly say, I have never not gotten some type of evidence on the USS Salem. And I've lost count how many times I've been in, on that ship. It is that active and that haunted. So for New England, that is one that you can almost guarantee that if you go there, you're going to experience something. And this is something that you and I have talked about previously too. It's like, well, why is that, right? Why are some places cold one night, hot another night? Is it something in the atmosphere? Is it the waning of the moon? But I wonder if it's just the conduit of the salt air and the metal of the ship,
Mm-hmm.
But for anybody listening out there and they want a place with, pretty much a great bang for their buck, I would say the USS Salem. I don't want to, discredit any other wonderful location in New England, because we're very, very, very lucky. We have so many places. High on my list would be the S.K. Pierce Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
I volunteer for the Murdoch Whitney House in Winchington, Mass., and that is another beautiful location. It's one that, honestly, it does run hot and it does run cold, but you're going to find that with most locations. Kind of new to the scene is the Emery Estate in Weymouth, Mass. I volunteer for them as well, and that's another spot that when that house is on, it's on. So those are some of my top spots for Massachusetts and New England.
Oh, cool. So, what have you caught over at the Salem that's interesting?
So, a lot of on-command REM pod activity for sure. You can actually carry on like real yes or no conversations with the EMF detectors. Very, very, very intelligent haunting there. So for me, my kind of niche in all this throughout the years is EVP. So for the listeners, that's electronic voice phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually where you will use a recording device. You will ask questions while the device is obviously recording. You'll give a break of about, 10 to 20 seconds before you ask your next question. And I typically like to do a burst session. So I will ask questions for roughly 2 minutes with that break in between, and then I will play it back immediately. And, if you're lucky, and more often than not, especially at the USS Salem, I would get intelligent responses back. And if we're going to talk a little bit about EVP, so we rank EVP in 3 distinct classes: Class A, Class B, Class C, where a Class A would be crystal clear response, no doubt about the response. You could ask 10 out of 10 people, and they would say yes. It clearly said, purple tree.
Right.
Class B is one where, it's kind of open to debate. Some people, if it said, I have a boat, some people will be like, no, it said I have a goat. No, it said float on a moat. It's one of those ones where you poll people and somebody hears a little, something was definitely there. Something definitely responded, but it's up to the, person's determination what was said. That's a Class B. Class C is something that's totally illegible. Like, there's a response, but, no matter how hard you try and listen, and no matter what software you put it through, you're just not going to know what was said. But on the Salem, it has there's just something about whatever's going on in there. I don't know if it's the strength of the spirits. I don't know if the salt water's a conduit to it, but I've gotten some of the most greatest Class A EVPs that we were actually able to tie back to actual crew members of the Salem.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's awesome. So,
yeah,
some good work there, that's for sure.
Really, really cool stuff.
Now, you said you've traveled outside of New England. So, what is your favorite place outside of, or some of your favorite places outside of New England?
So, hands down, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Hands down.
Mm-hmm. How many times you been there?
Only once, but Tom, I'm just like chomping at the bit someday to get back there. It's you got to travel to it, and it's very, very expensive. It's like almost $2,000 to book it privately.
And they also
down for me.
They're one of those places that limit the number of people too, right?
You broke up a little.
Okay. Tom. They're the place too that will limit the number of people, correct?
They limit the number of people. What, on the private?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 10, and then you might have to pay extra like after the 10th person.
Right. So it's expensive.
It's expensive. It's a minimum of $2,000 just to get in the door.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a single location in that asylum that did not produce like either poltergeist activity or EVP. Definitely got some shadow figures in there. I gotta be honest with you. After I left there, it almost ruined me for other locations because of the fact it was just so active everywhere. When like you get used to it, so to speak, and then that's kind of a little disappointing when you go to a place that is haunted, but you're just not getting that high level of activity.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, hands down, some said pick your spot. It's going to be Trans-Allegheny. They had the most amount of frontal lobe lobotomies anywhere in the world performed at Trans-Allegheny.
Joe, we're going to have to change that up a little bit. You came in broken up a lot on the end of that. Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
Trans-Allegheny.
Okay.
Am I breaking up?
Yeah, now you're fine. Trans-Allegheny. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Tom. So Trans-Allegheny is actually noted to have the most frontal lobe lobotomies of any location, I believe worldwide. Definitely United States for sure. They've performed the most frontal lobe lobotomies there. So there is a lot of tragedy there because I'm sure that, most of those people like clearly didn't need lobotomies. And sadly enough, it was performed mainly on women. It was a like ungodly amount ratio female to male there. So I don't know if that has plays a part in it, but it's definitely something to consider.
Wow. All righty. So that's what's your next favorite one outside of New England?
Rolling Hills Asylum in East Bethany, New York. And I'm fortunate enough to be traveling out there in 2 weeks.
Nice.
That's another one. Very, very, very active location. It's the hauntings there are very, very intelligent. You will get names, you will get dates that all can be correlated back to somebody in history that was either a patient there or was staff there. And that one, if you're, it's not a bad ride. If you're from New England, it's probably about a 6-hour ride. The owner, Sharon, is wonderful. She knows the history of the place. And I've been there 3 or 4 times. So this should be probably like my 5th time heading out there, and it's about a 6-hour ride, so it's manageable.
That is manageable. Yeah, that is manageable. And you got a lot of great evidence out there, I'm assuming.
Yes, definitely.
All right. So we have all this exciting stuff that you do. This past weekend, though, you took a step back in time, didn't you? Friday night. You were with us at the Sundown Meeting House.
Yeah, that was really a pleasant surprise, I must say. I was very, very, very just kind of blown away that the building is in the condition it's in for being in the 1760, and to just see it completely unmolested and to admire all the old woodwork in there. I told you when I was leaving, I have to come back and do this.
Right, and the spirit activity in there is incredible. I mean, we had that night we were there. There was stuff going on in the pews where the slave pews, and one of your team members picked up something with the. Explain to our audience listening across the World Wide Web in the world what that piece of equipment you use that shows the dancing. I always forget the name of it because we don't have it.
Yeah. So that was Linda. Linda is a investigator on P&E. She was lucky enough that she doesn't work Fridays, so she was able to accompany me. And she brought her SLS camera, her structured light sensor camera. So that basically was the sensor itself was actually came out with a Microsoft video game, the Xbox 360. And you would plug it into your video game, and the sensor would pick up your movements. So if you played like a tennis game, all you had to do was simulate you swinging a racket, and that sensor would pick up the players as stick figures. And when that came out, and people were playing single games, right? Maybe they were playing tennis against the computer.
Right.
Well, all of a sudden, next to the person playing, another stick figure would appear, like somebody was playing with them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is well documented that camera was picking up these phantom players. So somebody, I believe it might have been Bill Chappell, who builds the equipment for Ghost Adventures. I think he made note of it or whatnot and said, hey, maybe it's not a bug in the software. Maybe what's going on is these people are playing, and there is some type of an entity or spirit or ghost in the house and just decided that it wants to join in. So he bundled up that it's a Microsoft Connect sensor. That's the term of the actual sensor. It's a Microsoft Connect sensor. So he actually made some software and bundled that sensor up with a little Windows tablet, and it's become kind of like they're a little pricey, so it's not, everybody's cup of tea that can afford it, but it has become a powerful tool in an investigator's equipment bag. And we have a few of them on our team. Linda brought hers that night, and we got figures popping up in the pews that were not, you cannot see them with the naked eye. You can only see them through the actual Connect sensor. Mm-hmm. And it can pull up some false positives, but that's usually when there's something vertical in front of you. But if it's a spirit that's intelligent, you can ask them, hey, can you raise your right arm? Can you raise your left arm? Can you jump? And when the figure on the screen obeys the command, then you know right then and there, okay, that's not a static, like, false positive hit. Also, if you take the camera away and you put it back to that area, if the stick figure's gone, then you know it's not a false positive, because if it was something like a post there, it would just immediately show back up. So that's kind of how you can distinguish whether you're getting your false positives. But that particular night, we did rule out the false positives. So definitely something going on up in those pews for sure, Tom.
Well, thank you, because that was just an exciting night. Everybody that came, the psychics that came, the people that came. Some people got a few things on camera on their camera phones and stuff. So that
they
did,
and there was. I know a lot of people had some very personal experiences, which you can't discredit that either.
No, you can't. And that place does give you personal experiences. One night I was in there, and we had a group of people in there leading investigation. I decided to go up into the crow's nest. For anybody wondering, if you look at an old town meeting house or town hall, the crow's nest is where the minister or the town administrator would speak from. It's a little thing that goes up and you look down over everybody. We weren't getting any responses, so I started preaching the Catherine doctrine inside a Protestant meeting house. I got a nice shove, almost went through the window up there in the crow's nest. That wasn't fun. But it is, that's what we were looking for. We were looking to see what was there. We knew there were spirits there. It was a slow night, that's all. So we tried something different, and that was the response we got. The night we were all there, Friday night, we didn't have to try anything like that because they were out and about doing what they do best. And now, for you, Joe, you've been to all these places and stuff like that around New England. But probably for most paranormal teams, doing the events are fun. You get to meet people, talk to people, raise money for nonprofits that need it. And all the money raised goes to them that we do. And I imagine you do the same thing, Joe. I've talked to you about this before. So it's all good business. But what do you think about, for me, and I don't want to get too deep into this because you have to keep your clients private, unlike what we're noticing out there right now, which I'm not going to say much about. But what is the most satisfying thing when you go into a private home for you?
Well, the paranormal investigator side of me, the most satisfying thing would be to document evidence that is pertinent and can be substantiated by the family, right? Mm-hmm. So they typically want to know what's there. Not every home, like if they call us up to come in, we won't remove anything. That's just not what we do. So we will go in, we will document, and we will try and provide answers for the family. And then if they need or wanted something removed or cleansed, I have peers in the field that can provide that service. But to answer your question, if we can get the homeowner's answers, more often than not, the homeowner is fine with the activity that's going on. It's nothing, evil, dark, or vicious. And they're okay with it. They just kind of wanted some answers. Who is it? Is it ancestral to our family? Is it a prior owner of the property? They just want answers. And, sometimes we can provide them the answers. Sometimes we can't. That's very satisfying to me. The other thing that's very, very satisfying to me is the fact that we've been able to debunk a lot of paranormal activity for homeowners due to the fact that there are high EMF levels in the house. And in all honesty, Tom, that's kind of just as satisfying to me because we solved the problem for them, right?
Correct.
Child is having night terrors. Mm-hmm. Think there's a ghost, in the room. Think there's something bad in the room. Come to find out, the child sleeps next to, which I do the same thing. I sleep with a fan on, right?
Right.
You go up against that fan and your EMF levels are through the roof.
Correct.
Right? So this child sleeping next to a fan. The fan's blasting him all night with EMF. You take that fan, you either turn it off or you move it across the room, and lo and behold, the haunting stopped.
Right.
And same thing with people with these cheap Walmart alarm clocks. You know, I see it countless times right there on the little nightstand next to the bed.
Right.
Again, you know, move the alarm clock. Let us know what happened, you know, and we've solved very troubled families just by making them aware of what EMF is and where the high levels of it in the house, and just try and, you know, do your best to stay away from it if you can, you know?
Right. I mean, we had a case similar to that where they had another team in because they thought driving from Methuen, Lawrence, Haverhill area to Manchester, New Hampshire, that's as much as I'm going to say where we were, was a long ride, so they brought a team in from closer to them. And they put the K2 on the floor, and they asked if there was a demon in the house, and it lit up. Oh, God. Then they asked a few other questions, it lit up. Then they said they have a friend that removes demons, and he'll give you a call. He charges, but he gets rid of demons. Okay.
Yeah. So they had a narrative to say it was a demon.
Right.
Maybe. I don't want to. Yeah.
No. So they called us in. We went to the house. So I asked where the demon was because the girl was scared. She had like 6, 7 kids, right? Single mother. Demon. Oh, they put the couch over the demon. Okay. What was that supposed to do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Nothing. You know that. So I put the K2 on the floor. It lit up a little bit. It stopped. It lit up again. I asked if there was a demon. It lit up. Okay. I said, you got a basement under here? Yep. I went downstairs. There's exposed wiring right underneath where the K2 meter was. So I went back upstairs. I said, is Santa Claus here? It lit up. That made her feel better.
Yeah.
I said, you can ask any question you want. This is going to light up. Now let's go down in the basement and see why it's going to light up. There was exposed wiring.
Right. I mean, there have been times. I mean, I'm a homeowner, right?
Yeah.
I'm a guy. I'm a homeowner. I like to do my own repairs in my own home, and you know, there was a time when we were, you know, on a home investigation, and the lady's water tank was dripping. And, you know, you could tell nobody was down in the basement for, you know, eons, right? And, you know, I come upstairs and she's like, what did you find? I says, well, I think you're going to need a new water tank. What are you talking about? My water tank's fine. I'm like, well, I noticed it's starting to drip. Oh, you're a ghost hunter. What do you know? And I'm like, I'm also a homeowner. I just, as a courtesy, I'm letting you know your water tank drips. You know, do what you will, right? And then, like, sure enough, like a week later, I got a call from the lady apologizing and basically said her water tank let go.
Yeah, you don't know what you're gonna find. I mean,
you know, you try and help people the best you can.
Right. One time we're on a case, Joe. You'd love this one. Lady goes, oh, I get headaches and I feel like I'm being stalked when I'm standing or sitting on the couch, right? Standing in this area, sitting on the chair or something. Okay. Oh, look what's behind her. It's a condo. It's an apartment condo. So it's an apartment building they condensed out, an old apartment building from the 1800s. What's behind her but the electrical panel for the house? So my tech guy gets out the FLIR thermal imager, and one of the breakers was so hot, it was hotter than the rest of the box. So we saved the house from burning down. So you never know what you're going to save from people when you're doing this stuff.
Right. And that is, we have a few forward-looking infrared cameras as well. And again, you know, that's something that senses hot, cold, distinguishes between the two, you know, in a thermal picture, and that's a great tool that you can help homeowners out with as well. Because what are the odds somebody scanning their house with the FLIR camera, right?
Right. And then you can see where the windows are letting in way too much cold air, and your heat bill's going through the roof every year. You go, what's going on? Well, your windows need to be fixed. So, I mean, there's a lot of things we can do to help people.
Oh, 100%. I had a case in Lawrence, Mass, and there was legit activity going on, but one of the claims from the homeowners is, you know, we just always feel like really cold, like when we're in bed, no matter how high the heat's on. And I scanned the room, Tom, and the outside wall, they had their headboard toward the outside wall of the bedroom, and I don't think there was any insulation in that wall. It was great. That out of the whole room, that wall was blue cold. And I was like, I'm not so sure you guys have insulation. I go, I know it's an outside wall and it should be a little colder than the rest. I says, but that's freezing cold.
Yes.
You know, and then to be able to show them that visually, like that's when it hits home. Like, oh my gosh, we got to do something about that, right?
Right. And that's when people start acting and going, yes, we'll do something. So, no, that's all good news, Joe. Is there any other locations you like to talk about in the areas that you've investigated in?
Well, like you talked about earlier in supporting locations and whatnot, I volunteer my time at the Murdoch Whitney House in Winchington, Mass. I volunteer my time at the Emory Estate, Weymouth, Mass. And when people pay to investigate, it goes back into the property. It is not lining up the pocket of an owner, which, I mean, I'm okay with owners making money as long as they're putting it back into their location. You know what I mean? So I don't want to discredit that.
No.
But I do want to push my two spots that I volunteer for two reasons. They're deserving of it. And I know that if a person rents them, they'll have a good time because both houses are magnificent.
All right, so the Emory House, we're not going to say give it away because you want people to go there. But what is some of the haunted stuff that happens? Some of it, not all of it, because we want people to go find more stuff. But the more well-known stuff.
There is a known shadow person on the second floor that kind of plays peekaboo with one of the bathrooms there. And we've gotten him in photos, videos. So he's, if it is a he, because you can't make out the, the features of whether it's male or female. I'm sensing male, but he likes to poke his head out of that bathroom and look down the hallway both ways. He's been documented on camera and video. So that's somebody to look forward to if you do go to the Emory.
All right. What was it, the other location that's to your heart too? What happens there?
So again, not to give away the whole bag of tricks,
right.
But
we want to give a little bit so people can go.
Yeah. So that house actually has a ghost cat that frequents the house.
Oh.
So my very first. Oh yeah. Yeah. So my very first time investigating the house, we rented it. Paranormal, we rented it. And we were on the grand staircase leading upstairs, and we just kind of stopped, maybe about 4 or 5 steps up because there are pictures on the wall of the Murdoch. We were having a conversation amongst the three of us, and you just hear this disembodied cat meow.
All right.
We all looked at each other.
Joe, hold on a minute. You're coming in all gobbled up, so can we do the ghost cat one more time?
Yep.
I just made note of that for my editor.
Okay.
So, ghost cat.
Yeah, so we were on the steps, the grand staircase, and we were just looking at some of the pictures of the actual Murdoch family when we heard a audible cat meow. It was loud enough that we all looked at each other, and then I said, or started to say, "Did you just hear a?" And my teammate finished my sentence and said, "A cat meow?" I was like, "Yeah." I go, "You heard it too." Like, we all heard it. I said, "I wonder if they maybe have a cat that they keep as a pet in the house and somebody, comes by and takes care of it." I said, "I'm going to walk down into the kitchen and talk to the curator and see if there's a ghost, if there's a live cat in the house." They didn't know me. It was the first time I ever been in the house. And I asked them if they had a live cat in the house. And they kind of looked at me like, "Why would we have that?" And I was like, "I'm just telling you, I got a cat. We heard it with our own ears. It was clearly a cat meowing." I said, our camera audio picked it up. I will be able to isolate it and send it to you." And then I followed the question up with, "Well, let me ask you this. Has any other teams come through here and asked you if you possibly had a ghost cat?" And they all just chuckled at me. I felt like 2 inches big, and I just said, "All right, I guess not." I said, "It's a very interesting audio clip. I will send it to you regardless." So I cut the clip out. I sent it to them. I never heard back one way or another, and I just chalked it up as, oh well. I went out there. We went out there again as a team, maybe about 6 to 9 months later. And when we walked into the kitchen to put our gear down and to pay, I was speaking to Erica, the curator, and I said, "What?" I go, "Has anything been going on?" And she's like, "Oh, it's pretty interesting." She's like, "Apparently we have a ghost cat here." And I was like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, what makes you say that?" And she's like, "Oh, check out this picture one of our guests took." And you just see a cat on that same staircase about 3 steps up, 2 steps down from where we were 6 to 9 months ago. No mistaking it, Tom.
Interesting.
And I said to her, "I have the audio that matches that picture, right?" And her eyes just like flew open, and she was like, "Oh my God, that's right." And it was at that point they asked if I wanted to volunteer there. And I've been volunteering ever since.
That is a very interesting story. It really is. You find this thing, you hear it's got a haunted activity, you dig around it, you find the pole. You don't dig deep enough where a lot of people would give up. You decided not to give up.
And guests have felt a cat brush up against their legs.
So
that's a little that's a little appetizer for people.
Yeah, no, that's a great appetizer for people. Now I know another couple locations. Anything outside the state you want to talk about that you think people would enjoy going to that you investigated?
I'll go with, again, Rolling Hills Asylum, East Bethany, New York. I'll go with the Shanley Hotel. That's another one that, I don't think you will get a quiet night there. Mm-hmm. That's up in Napa Notch, New York. So those are definitely two that I personally would recommend. And I have no vested interest in either of those spots. I'm just giving you, like, you asked, so I'm just giving you my opinion.
Have you ever been down to the Bridgewater Triangle at all?
I have. I've investigated the Bridgewater Triangle. Yep.
Have you done the swamp or any of those areas?
I did. When I went down there, my main focus was a sauna sledge.
Okay. How'd that go out for you over there, if you don't mind me asking? Did you catch anything? You're the first
Tom, ask me
person.
that again. You broke up on that.
You're the first person I know that did actually went out to the ledge. Did you catch anything at the ledge?
Nothing concrete. We were actually doing some crazy experiments with a Van de Graaff generator out there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we were trying to charge up the ledge. We actually found a spike in the ledge that I'm sure they used at some point to excavate. And we hooked up a Van de Graaff generator onto the metal spike, and we were pumping the electricity into the ledge, and it was actually traveling down the ledge and dissipating, like, we don't even know, like maybe 100 feet down. You could hear it escaping. It was crazy. It wasn't paranormal, but just very interesting nonetheless, right?
Yes. Did you catch anything that day?
Honestly, we did not get anything noteworthy, truth be told. But okay. It was still a cool place.
Well, anytime you can go to a cool place like that and investigate, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we were trying to, see if we could maybe get something, along with the, the lady in white that appears there, But, we decided to do some experiments. We're not scientists, right? Mm-hmm. But we like to try and do scientific things,
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. And that's how you learn and grow in this field, by trying new things.
Exactly.
Albert Einstein and these great creators that we've read about in our history books as kids, they didn't create things great unless they made mistakes trying to create great things.
Exactly.
So, and that's what this is all. That's what the paranormal is really good at, is trying to figure out what is out there. And that's why we're doing this show, so we can interview people from different realms of the paranormal to get a better understanding. Because if you put 10 teams in a room and ask the same question to 10 teams, how many answers are you going to get?
More than 10.
Yeah, exactly. And there won't be too many of them that are going to overlap each other. And that's what makes us feel so good and great. And what investigators do is try to find answers. And, sometimes it's scientific, sometimes it's historical, sometimes you can find it with equipment, and other times, there's nothing going on. You can't even find it with pendulums or dowsing rods, never mind equipment. And that's how this field's always worked for some, odd reason. So, now, have you guys ever gone out and investigated any of the local cemeteries quietly?
Say that again, Tom.
Have you guys ever gone out and investigated some of the local cemeteries?
Yeah. So mainly, so when I first started, that was primarily what I did. It was just local cemeteries to me. Like I wouldn't even be able to tell you some of the names of them because I just drove to them, and I think that's kind of where everybody starts out, right?
Right.
It's free, and you think you're going to get activity there, and again, it's one of those things where a cemetery is going to be hit or miss as well, But that's where I primarily started, with cemeteries. Haven't really done one of those in a while.
Mm-hmm. No, it's just, so you haven't been out like Vale or any of the big ones that some of my other guests have been to that you can remember then?
No, I have not.
No problem there. No, but we all started in cemeteries, and some of us still play in cemeteries like me. I'm still there. And I'll probably never give up the cemetery stuff because it's quite interesting. But as far as older homes are concerned, you know what I find interesting about older homes? I don't know if you do. The way they used to ground their electricity. Did you ever come across that in an old home from like the 1800s, early 1900s?
Tommy broke up on that.
Have you ever come across any of the older homes from the 1800s, early 1900s that had odd grounding system for their electrical?
Yes, I have. 100%. Yep.
I find it interesting that, we learn in school water and electricity don't mix, and they're grounding electric to copper water pipes. Does that make any sense to you?
Well, knowing what I do now, it doesn't. But
no.
I'm sure back in the day,
I mean,
they either, that was the norm, right?
Yeah, that was the norm, and that causes a lot of headaches today for a lot of people.
Oh yeah. It could potentially turn the whole house into a fair.
Yeah, exactly, and it's done that. I've had plenty of private homes that have done that. Have you had one in particular, without mentioning location, town, or anything? Have you actually had one where that was the only? Yeah, they thought they saw something in the house, or they might have seen something in the house or something. But when you finally got there and you finished your investigation, that was the main root of the cause of most of their problems. Have you ever come across that?
I have, and I can give the town.
Okay.
It was probably one of the closest investigations I ever had. It was a residential case in Billerica, Mass.
Oh, right 100%. Down the road.
Literally the next town over from where I lived. Yeah.
So you took that one and went, okay, we're there, and then you start doing your EMF sweeps and going, okay.
I actually left the family with equipment.
Oh, okay.
And said that, I'll let you guys, do it. I showed them how to use some of the things. And, I said, I'm right down the street, do what you need to do. I don't have a problem with that. When you're all set, call me and I'll come pick it up. I think they called me like the next weekend. They were so grateful, for me doing that. But,
it can happen.
I don't know. That's what I did.
So you're not that far down the road then, huh?
No. I
at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't make it a practice of leaving my expensive equipment with people. But in that particular case, I felt comfortable enough to do it.
Right. Now, have you ever been to John Ryan's pub out that way? On Billerica Chelmsford line?
Not to ghost hunt, but to eat, yes. But I have heard that place is very, very, very haunted.
Right. So one night I get a call from a friend of mine who works at the UPS hub, which is obviously right down the street, right? He's on his way to work, and it's raining out. It's like January. It's raining out, but no snow. And this weird creature ran right across the road from John Ryan's pub into the walking trail that's just the other side before, if you're coming from Billerica into Chelmsford, just before the UPS hub driveway, there's a walking trail. They saw something weird cross the road over there. So that's another interesting location. And the kid is a paranormal investigator. He's with another team. I know the team he's with and everything. And he called me up because he knows I'm into the cryptid stuff too, because he wasn't sure what he saw. But so you never had anything happen to you at John Ryan's, did you? Just eating?
No. We ate there. I mean, I was actually doing the paranormal at that point in time, and just it was always one of those things that, like, well, geez, maybe I should go up and ask, and just was with other people, and I just never got a chance to ask. But that place, just everybody says it's haunted, it's haunted, it's haunted. So, I mean, I would tend to believe, you hear it from more than one people, then, more than likely there's something to it,
Oh, yeah. No, there's plenty of places like that all over New England. And, and that's what makes us so special out here in New England. We get all these great locations, and there's plenty of them to do. We are very lucky. I would say New England, and then if you're from Pennsylvania,
Those are two hot spots. Ohio's pretty good too. But no, we are very, very lucky in Massachusetts, in New England.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look at we got the Bridgewater Triangle. We got the one in Vermont, the Ossipee Triangle. We have all these angles around here. You got one a couple of them out in Pennsylvania, I know of. Not well to talk about even, but I know there's a few out there. So there's large areas of this state that have activity. Now, what's interesting, though, and I think you and I talked about this, maybe we haven't. So you get something like the Bridgewater Triangle, okay? It's 33 towns, it's got the lake, and it's got the woods, it's got Hockomock Swamp, and it's got its points, right? Freetown, Abington, and etc. But what's interesting is when you go outside of that angle, that triangle, and you're finding the same things in the towns around it, I know you're on vacation this week. We'll just say somewhere down the Cape so no one bothers you. I imagine if you walk around there, you'll find some paranormal locations with the same stuff that happened at the Bridgewater Triangle, because you're not that far.
Yeah, I would say that's a safe bet, without a doubt. There's a lot of haunted inns down here.
Oh, I bet there are. Are you staying at one or no?
I wish I was. No, we are renting we're renting a small house, not haunted.
Oh, good. So you can get some rest and relaxation from the paranormal, at least, right?
Well, that's what taking a vacation's all about.
And taking a vacation from everything and enjoying life and relaxing and enjoying the sights of the Cape. Have you seen any sharks down there?
You'd have to ask my family.
Okay.
I'm not a beach goer, so when they go to the beach, I'm doing other things.
Oh, okay. So you're not one of those that hang out at the beach and go tanning all day.
No, not my thing.
And I don't know where this took place, but I guess it was either a shark or a whale tipped the boat somewhere. I saw it on the news.
I saw that.
Where was that?
I saw that. I thought it said Portsmouth.
Oh, maybe it was Portsmouth. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it said Portsmouth.
Okay. Yeah, that was interesting. I saw part of it.
Oh, my God, that was crazy.
Yeah, it is nuts. But, that's what happens in New England. You never know what you're going to see out there. Or up in the sky. UFOs to sea creatures to lake monsters to ghosts to Birdman to all the stuff that's out there. But Joe, I want to thank you for coming on today, very, very much. And I want to thank you for coming on during your vacation too, just so you know. And we're going to have you back on for sure. And yeah, sorry.
No, it was my pleasure, Tom. Anytime, definitely always very interesting talking to you. Yes, and, we probably need to do a little bit more together.
We probably should be doing more together. You guys can come up anytime you want to the Hilldale event. Just let me know you're coming. Just come on up.
Okay.
I know you don't like cemeteries totally, but if you're not doing anything, you want to join us for the night, you can. And when I get some stuff going on, if I need some help, I'll give you guys a call. And maybe when you get back in a couple of weeks, we can all go for lunch or supper or something somewhere. Just hang out. There's no ghosts, no equipment, just us hanging out and chatting.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Joe. Thank you very much. Enjoy your vacation and have a great day.
All right, Tom. I will talk to you soon, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That was Joe Rainone.
Bye-bye.
That was Joe Rainone. Joe's a great investigator, a great friend, and very well educated in the paranormal. Before I sign off, though, I want to remind everybody this weekend we'll be at Haunted Hilldale Cemetery one more time for a ghost hunt, and we got a surprise this weekend. So come on down, check it out. Ghost hunt starts at gates open 7:30. Ghost hunt at 8 p.m. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Next week we have a big surprise for you right out of Texas. So make sure you tune in next week. We'll have another great show. I want to thank all our great listeners that are from across the pond and everywhere in New England. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Good night, good day, and happy hauntings. I'm heading to my crypt.